Alright YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about the red flags of the solar eclipse. So guys, today we're going to talk about the red flags and rumors of the solar eclipse. Now, a lot of the red flags, not even a lot, but like 99% of the red flags, I'm not worried about, I don't care. We're just going to discuss a lot of the things that I've been hearing. There is only one red flag that I'm on alert with, but I'm not like, again, not super nervous. I'm like, oh my God. If that one happens, it'll happen and it'll be dealt accordingly, as if any of these red flags actually unfold or do come to fruition, we will handle it accordingly. But again, not worried about any of these. I think this is just an interesting conversation piece. Power outage is one of the red flags that are being thrown out there. Now, there's an article stating that the solar eclipse could affect the power grid, but there were other articles rebuttaling that, right? Saying that that's not going to happen. There's not going to be any power shortages, but there could be a power issue or power outages for those that are traveling to the totality path of the eclipse, because in that area or town that you might be in, you could be draining the electrical system there. And so many people on the system, it drains it out and sort of like thins it, if you will. So there could be an issue in that regard, and there could be blackouts because the system's being overrun, rather. And because it's being overrun, it can cause some blackouts. So that's probably like where you might have power outages. But as far as the moon and the sun causing a national power grid outage, unlikely. Nonetheless, it's still good to be prepared. Communication issues. Now, of course, with this solar eclipse, a lot of people seem to think that there might be communication issues. In fact, NASA thinks there might be issues with certain satellites in the ionosphere. So they're sending up 3 rockets to test that out. Now, that's another red flag that a lot of people like, well, why are they sending up 3 rockets into space to test communications device in the ionosphere? I think that's a little weird in itself that they're sending 3 rockets up. Nonetheless, there could be communication issues, especially, again, if you are in the totality path of the eclipse and you're in one of those towns. There could be cell phone issues and cell phone disruption, as many people are going to be in that area soaking up the cell phone signals. And especially if people are live streaming the eclipse, you're definitely going to run into more problems. So if you are headed into one of those areas, do yourself a favor. You're probably only going to be able to use text. That's one of the only ways of communication that's going to get out. A Bofang radio is probably not going to make a difference unless somebody else near you has one. So communication could be disrupted in that area of the totality path of the eclipse. Now, NASA wants you to become a citizen of science and record and document anything and everything that goes on during the eclipse. Now, of course, when I heard citizen science, that was new to me. I'd never heard of it, but it has been around since, I think, 1988. At least it was mentioned in an MIT magazine in 1988. So, again, still being new to me and still noticing how NASA is taking a bigger interest in this solar eclipse than any other in the past that I can recall. They want you to record weird animal behavior, which some people are saying that's because of the moon and the sun, and the energy from both is probably going to disrupt and or put animals in a panic. Also, the sudden darkening of the sky can confuse animals, as they have a circadian rhythm themselves, and they know when it's time to sleep, when it's time to be awake. And the sky turning dark all of a sudden before that time can confuse a lot of animals, so they do want you to record animals being weird and acting weird, especially household pets. So again, guys, keep that in mind. A lot of people like, oh, that's a red flag. There's a lot of red flags with this, but again, I'm not worried about any of these. Now, another one that I'm really curious about is the sound of the eclipse. So there's one part of me that's like, what fucking sound are these two going to make? Are they going to sing us a harmony? What's going on with the sun and the moon that is making a sound? Nonetheless, NASA wants you to record the sound of the eclipse. I don't know if nerds are going to come together with their secret decoder ring and start decoding shit and have a place to meet. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if they have a secret machine that has a frequency that they can find or a frequency that they're looking for. Who knows? Nonetheless, NASA's asking everyone to record the sounds of the eclipse. If the eclipse starts to moan, there's fucking pandemonium is going to break out in the street. But other than that, guys, they want you to record all these. They also want you to record lights. Any weird lights that might be seen. Again, I read that in an article about NASA wanting you to do data collection. And I'm like, weird lights and sounds? Personally, guys, I think NASA knows a little more than what they're telling us about what might be going down with this eclipse. But again, that's my conspiracy theory brain kicking in. The FAA made mention of possible flight disruption starting a day or two before the solar eclipse and a few days after the solar eclipse. The FAA is saying that a lot of the instruments could be screwed up because of the whole, again, moon, sun, earth magnetic field kind of deal. If there's any disruption with the earth magnetic field, that could affect a lot of the aeronautics instruments, if you will. So FAA put out a warning as well. Of course, the cell phone industry, like I just mentioned earlier, they also put out a warning saying there could be disruption with the cell phones. Again, in that band, but somewhere else I read, they said it could be nationwide because people might be trying to call one another. Just like New Year's Eve. Whenever the ball drops, you can't get through to your friends because everybody's calling one another. There could be that going on as well during the eclipse. Earthquake, floods, and tsunamis. It's always been said that whenever there's an eclipse, a few days later, and even a few days before, an earthquake, tsunami, or flood happens. So a lot of people, for example, there was one earthquake they said happened 3 months after solar eclipse. I think that was just coincidence, if you ask me. Because if the sun is magnifying the power of the moon can possibly cause flooding and or tsunamis because, as we know, the moon controls water or waves on the planet. Sorry. So if the moon can do that, there could be the possibility of that should the moon's power be amplified by this solar eclipse. We had an earthquake just the other day. A lot of people are asking whether or not the earthquake had anything to do with the whole eclipse. I'm wondering that as well. I thought I read an article saying that one had nothing to do with the other. Again, guys, when it comes to the government, you can't believe pretty much anything they say. But you also, in the back of your head, you just leave it there and you go, all right, whatever. They're saying it's not, let's leave it there. If something else happens, then we know that they were lying. So this one's a little more important. Food, gas, water issues, especially in the towns that you're visiting to see this totality of the eclipse, right? So if you're looking for the 100% blockage of the sun, the areas that are being now inundated with people that are going to these small towns and or cities, there could be a food, gas, and water issue as all these people are going to tax that area, their system, and their resources. So if you're going there, guys, bring extra water and extra food with you. Bring an extra power source with you as well, because you don't want to be caught with your pants down in that area, especially if you happen to get caught in that traffic leaving the solar eclipse area. A lot of these places are going to have major traffic issues, and the traffic could last up to anywhere between a day or two. You do not want to get stuck in. I hate getting stuck in 2 hours of traffic, let alone 2 days of traffic. National Guards are being deployed in a lot of states and in a lot of, to a lot of counties in certain states. So certain states, if not most of them that are in the totality path of the eclipse, are all on state of emergency, 1. 2, a lot of them are activating the National Guards, but the more interesting National Guard unit is the Oklahoma's 63rd Civil Support Team, which is a chemical, nuclear, biological, radiological unit. They deal with that kind of shit. Hazmat issues, chemical issues, biological issues, nuclear. That's an elite unit within the Oklahoma National Guards, and for some reason they're being dispatched and or activated, and a lot of people are questioning that, and so am I. I'm like, why would you release an elite unit to go out there and help with traffic control and crowd control? That doesn't make any sense, because that was the official excuse as to why they're using them. Again, I think there might be something else going on. There might be something else they're worried about. And the one thing that they're probably worried about is a rumor I'm going to talk about a little later. Another red flag that a lot of people are worried about, again, none of these I'm worried about, but a lot of them are worried about, is the Hydron Collider being activated April 8th. Now, I read 2 articles last night stating that they're not activating it April 8th, but when you go to the actual Hydron Collider's website, and I forgot, I think Concern's website, they state that they're activating April 8th. So, again, April 8th, guys, and activating a collider at full speed to look for the ghost particle, I think is a little on the nose. I think they're lying about it. I think they're looking to do something else. Again, I'm not worried about it, but I think that they're trying to open up a portal into hell. Now, some people are like, well, hell doesn't need a portal. Hell doesn't need a portal if they want to physically come through. Spiritually, yes, they can come through people's bodies, mirrors, waters, things like that. But if they physically want to come through and bring them in here, you have to open up a portal for that. But again, that's my conspiracy theory brain kicking in the overdrive. 2 species of cicadas are being hatched, if you will, this week sometime or next week. A lot of people seem to think it's April 8th that they're going to get released or hatched, sorry. I don't see cicadas, guys, going, yo, guys, let's do this. It's April 8th, and then start flying out of the ground. Like, no way. Now, when they start to hatch, there's going to be trillions of these things in the air, or in the area, rather, sorry. So if they do all hatch April 8th, guys, yes, some shit's about to go down. But I doubt very much all of these things are going to hatch at once. It's just not likely, and animals don't operate that way anyway. They don't all fucking high-five each other in their little cocoons and fucking, no. They don't have watches. They're not text messaging each other. They come out as they are supposed to. And they're probably all going to come out within the same span of a week or 2, but not all in one day. If they come out all in one day, guys, everybody grab a Bible, get on your knees, and start praying to God. Now, the bigger, or not the bigger issue, but one of the red flags that are putting me on alert is the simple fact that they were talking about a possible terror attack in the cities that are in the path, or in the totality path of the eclipse. So now, when I heard that, I'm like, I could see that happening, but, not worried. But then the FBI, of course, the other day gives warning to an organization here in New York City that there have been, in fact, numerous, if not hundreds or thousands of men on the terror watch list making it through into this country. Hundreds or thousands, guys. They're not sure which it is. That's a lot regardless. So when I heard the possible terror attack, and then I just heard this information from this organization the other day, that I was standing right there when they were having a conversation, I'm like, that's interesting. And then I thought about what another YouTube channel said, and I'm like, that's a possibility that there could be an attack. Now, they said it could be in the cities that are in the totality path of the eclipse. I think it can happen anywhere in the country. So if that's the case, guys, stay on guard. Keep your head on the swivel, because if they want, this would be the time to have it go down. While everybody's staring at the skies, you're letting everyone have it because they're not paying attention. So you should, at the very least, pay attention if you're going to be in a crowded city watching this, which I don't know why you would. But if you happen to be in the city and the shit goes down, guys, handle it accordingly. Stay strapped, stay ready, keep your head on the swivel, and that's about it. There was one, I did miss this one. I missed this another important one, but it's a kind of red flaggy. And it's a rumor going around on the internet stating that there could be biological spray in the air. And that a C-130 will be carrying toxins to spray in the air 2 hours or an hour before the eclipse and an hour after the eclipse. Don't know why they're hitting it from both ends in that aspect, but nonetheless, that's a rumor that's going around on the internet, and I just wanted to get it out there. So the C-130s are supposedly going to spray some kind of pathogen on people who are looking at the eclipse. And this pathogen is going to get people sick, and people are going to act as carriers, leaving that area and taking it back to their homes, wherever they are from this country, and getting other people sick, turning into the next big event. Anyway, guys, other than that, this is the Angryprepper. Thank you for watching.